If you've been feeling more tired, more emotional, more foggy, and less like yourself after 35, this may be why. Not because you're lazy, not because you're failing, and not because it's all in your head. It may be because the hormones that have quietly supported your body for years are beginning to shift. And most women never learned what those hormones were actually doing until something started to feel different. So instead of explaining this like a science class, picture it this way. Your body is a garden. And inside that garden are three women who have been quietly helping run things this whole time. One protects softness, balance, and flow. One supports calm, rhythm, and steadiness. And one protects spark, drive, and energy. You may not have known their names before, but you have felt their work. And when that work starts to change, you feel it. So let's meet them. The first woman steps forward. She is graceful, soft, and easy to take for granted, until the garden no longer feels the same without her. She smiles gently. My name is Estrogen. I help keep this garden soft, responsive, and alive. She brushes her hand across the petals. I help support the skin, the brain, the mood, the cycle, and the bones, and more than most women ever realize. When I move through this garden in healthy rhythm, things tend to feel more open, more balanced, more resilient. The petals hold their softness, the pathways stay open, and the whole garden responds more easily. Then her voice softens. But when my rhythm begins to change, a woman may feel that change in more places than she expects. Not just in her cycle, but in her skin, her mood, her sleep, her focus, even in the way she feels inside herself. She turns toward you. That is why so many women feel something shift before they understand what shifted. And that is only the beginning, because softness is not the only thing a woman's body has depended on. Then another woman appears. She is quieter, calmer, less obvious to the eye, but the whole garden seems to exhale when she arrives. She places a hand over her heart. I am progesterone. I help bring rhythm, calm, and balance. Lanterns begin to glow softly around the garden. I help the garden move through its timing, its rise, its pause, its release, its reset. When I arrive the way I should, things often feel more settled, less noisy, less chaotic, more anchored. Then her face grows thoughtful. But when I stop arriving the same way, the rhythm can start to feel harder to trust. The cycle becomes less predictable. Sleep may feel more broken. The mood may feel less steady. And the garden can begin to lose the pattern it once knew. She folds her hands gently. And that can feel deeply confusing, especially for a woman who was never told I was part of the piece. But calm and rhythm are still not the whole story, because a woman does not only need softness, and she does not only need steadiness, she also needs fire. Then footsteps echo across the path. A third woman steps forward. She is not loud, but her presence changes the air. There is strength in the way she stands, focus in her eyes, and fire in the way she carries herself. She gives a small smile. I'm testosterone. And yes, women have me too. A few leaves stir around her. I help protect spark, drive, motivation, strength, desire, and energy. I am not here to do the same job as the others. I do not soften the petals like estrogen, and I do not steady the rhythm like progesterone. She turns back, calm but sure. I help keep the fire from going out. I help a woman feel more able to move, to want, to reach, and to stay connected to her strength. Then her voice lowers, and when my presence changes, something can start to feel dimmer. Not always dramatic, sometimes just quieter. Less spark, less drive, less interest, less energy than before. She looks around the garden protectively. And because most women were never told I lived here too, they often do not know how to name what feels missing. Now the three women stand together. Different, but connected. Estrogen moves through the petals. Progesterone tends to the rhythm. Testosterone opens the gates to the morning. And together, they help the garden stay alive. Not by doing the same job, but by doing different jobs in rhythm. That is the part most women were never taught. Your body was never being run by one symptom, one feeling, or one hormone working alone. It was always a relationship, a pattern, a quiet conversation happening beneath the surface. And for a long time, that conversation held. The garden knew when to prepare, when to pause, when to release, and when to begin again. And what many women simply knew as a monthly cycle was only the visible part of a much deeper rhythm. Which is why when something changes, it can feel so personal, so confusing, so hard to explain. Because you do not just feel one symptom, you feel the whole garden responding. And that is where the next part begins. Because no garden stays in one season forever.